Have you ever felt an intense rush of euphoria running down your spine when excitedly telling someone about your next big plan, feeling as if you had already grasped victory even before beginning? That feeling is wonderful, intoxicating, and full of promise, but then the very next morning when you sit down before a blank page or a computer screen to actually start the work, all that motivation suddenly seems to have evaporated, leaving you stranded with boredom and emptiness. This is not a coincidence, nor is it because you are lazy. It is a sophisticated psychological trap that most of us fall into, a trap called false satisfaction. Today I want to tell you the story of a young man named Eden and his journey to find the true power lying deep within silence, a journey in which you might just see yourself. Eden was a young man, full of enthusiasm and always harboring grand ideas. He had intelligence, talent, and a heart hungry for success. But Eden had a habit, or rather, an irrepressible need. He always wanted to share his intentions as soon as they sprouted in his mind. Every time a new business idea, a book plan, or simply a fitness goal for a better body came to him, the first thing Eden did was not to create a detailed plan, but to call his friends or post a determined status on social media. Once, Eden decided he would learn a new language to prepare for a job opportunity abroad. The idea thrilled him to no end. Immediately, he announced it to his group of close friends during a coffee session that afternoon. He painted a vision of himself living in Paris, speaking French like a native, and enjoying afternoons by the Seine. Eden's friends, who always supported him, cheered in admiration. They congratulated him and praised his courage and vision. Those compliments acted like a stimulant, causing Eden's brain to release dopamine, the hormone of happiness and reward. The problem lies in the fact that the human brain is sometimes very naive. When Eden received that enthusiastic applause, his subconscious was deceived. It recorded that the goal had already been accomplished. The sense of pride and satisfaction that Eden should have only been allowed to feel after hundreds of hours of hard study was now received as an advance payment right from the start. And so, the energy required to take actual action dissipated into those promises. The next day, when he opened the grammar book, Eden felt bored. Yesterday's excitement had vanished, replaced by a sense of heaviness. He had spent all his energy on talking and had nothing left for doing. As time passed, Eden gradually realized a terrifying pattern in his life. The things he talked about the most were the things he accomplished the least. He became a man of unfinished projects, someone with loud beginnings but quiet endings. The pressure from his previous declarations began to weigh heavily on his shoulders. Every time he met his friends, questions like, "How is that project going?" or "When are you going to France?" became needles pricking his self-esteem. He began to avoid them, starting to fear the social expectations he had created for himself. At his most stagnant point, Eden sought out his old teacher, a quiet man who had achieved remarkable success in his research career. After listening to Eden's confession, the teacher only smiled, poured a cup of tea, and said something Eden would remember forever. A seed that wants to sprout and grow into a giant tree must be buried deep in the dark, silent, and lonely earth. If you keep digging it up to show everyone that you are planting a tree, that seed will die from too much light and a lack of nourishment from its roots. Those words woke Eden up. He realized that dreams are like that seed. They need protection. The early stage of any goal is extremely fragile. When we share it too soon, we expose it to the winds of judgment, doubt, and most dangerously, premature satisfaction. Eden understood that he needed to change not his goals, but the way he treated them. He decided to conduct an experiment, working in the dark. This time, Eden nurtured a software development project he had been thinking about for a long time. Following his old habit, his fingers were ready to click the post button on social media to announce his upcoming brainchild, but he stopped. He remembered the image of the seed in the ground. He turned off his phone, took a deep breath, and began writing the first lines of code in absolute silence. The first few days were truly a torture for Eden. He craved recognition. He craved someone to pat him on the back and tell him his idea was great. Working in silence meant he had to face himself. There was no applause, no likes, only him and mounting difficulties. When he encountered a technical error, he couldn't complain to seek sympathy. He was forced to tinker and solve it himself. But within that solitude, something miraculous began to happen. Because no one knew what Eden was doing, he was under no pressure from anyone else's expectations. He allowed himself to make mistakes. He experimented with crazy ideas that, if made public, he might have been afraid would be ridiculed. Silence became his shield, allowing him to focus entirely on learning and perfecting the product. The energy he used to spend on announcing was now entirely channeled into action. Eden realized that by keeping his goals private, he maintained an internal fire that burned steadily. The desire to share the final result became the motivation that pushed him to work harder. He wanted to prove himself through results, not words. Every time he wanted to give up, he told himself, "Let the results speak." He learned to find joy in the process of labor itself rather than in the illusion of glory. 6 months passed, a long stretch of time filled with sleepless nights and weekends without social gatherings. His friends thought Eden was going through a hard time or becoming a recluse, but they didn't know he was building an empire of his own. And then the day finally came. The day Eden's product was complete, running smoothly, and solving a real problem for users. When Eden officially announced the project, not as an idea on paper, but as a finished product that could be downloaded and used, the astonishment of everyone was indescribable. No one knew when he had done it. No one expected him to go so far. The praise at this moment was truly valuable because it was for actual effort, for the sweat and intellect poured in, not for empty promises. But more important than the applause of others was the feeling inside Eden. Looking back on the past 6 months, he felt a deep and solid sense of pride he had never had before. It was the pride of someone who had conquered himself, who had persevered through the darkness to light his own way. He understood that silence is not emptiness, but the place that holds the greatest power. Eden's story is a reminder for all of us in today's noisy world. We live in an era where everything is exposed, where people judge each other by what is shown on social media rather than what is actually achieved. We are caught in a race of grand declarations, but we forget that true value always needs time and stillness to crystallize. Remember that when you keep your goals a secret, you are compressing a spring of energy. The tighter it is compressed, the further it will bounce. Don't let a fame-hungry ego deceive you with fake rewards. Don't let the pressure of having to explain yourself to others make you falter when you face difficulties. Allow yourself to be a seed, accept the darkness of the earth, and accept the loneliness to focus on absorbing nutrients and developing a strong root system. There is a tremendous power in disappearing for a while and returning with results that leave everyone amazed. Let your success be the loudest explosion, shattering all doubts. Don't waste your strength explaining what you are going to do. Use that strength to get the job done. Learn to love silence, for in silence, you will hear the truest voice of your dreams. Next time you have a great idea or set a new goal for your life, try doing it differently. Instead of picking up your phone, pick up a pen and make a plan. Instead of seeking a compliment, seek a solution to the first problem you encounter. Keep it to yourself like a secret treasure. Nourish it with action, water it with perseverance, and protect it from the toxic winds of premature judgment. The time will come when you get to speak, but by then, you won't need to say much. Because your results, your growth, and the achievements standing tall before everyone's eyes will have said everything necessary for you. That is true glory, the glory built from the power of silence and relentless effort. Let the world be curious about what you are doing, and let them take their hats off to what you have accomplished.